My name is Freya Albright. I'm 34 years old, the youngest daughter in a family where titles mean more than truths. My sister Seraphine flies planes across oceans. I dig through fraudulent ledgers and lie-drenched spreadsheets for a living. She's the golden one, disciplined, dazzling, always 10 steps ahead.
Me?
I'm the one they forgot to brag about. The one who made people uncomfortable at dinner parties because I asked the wrong questions or the right ones, depending on who was lying. I've always felt like an observer in my own family, watching lives unfold around me as if mine didn't matter. But last week, I got a call from 38,000 feet in the air, and what my sister said made me realize the man I married may not be the man I know. And worse, he might not even be the only one. 7:54 a.m. Seattle. Julian stood at the espresso machine, humming some 80s synth pop under his breath. His hair was damp from the shower. His wedding ring glinted, left hand, ring finger. Exactly where it always was. Steam curled around him as he poured milk into his mug. My mug. I stared. Not at the mug. At him. Every movement too casual. Too choreographed. The phone in my palm buzzed once. Incoming call, Seraphine. I answered with a frown, walking into the hallway.
Freya, she said. Breathless. Tight.
I need you to answer me carefully. Is Julian with you right now?
Yes.
He's what? He's here. Why? A silence. The kind that eats oxygen. Because I'm looking at him, she said. He just boarded my plane. Business class.
Paris-bound.
Holding hands with a brunette in a white coat. I turned back. Julian raised his cup in salute from the kitchen. Smiled. Freya? Seraphine's voice cracked. I swear to God, it's him. I didn't answer. Hint. The way he stood. The half-smile. That stupid mug. The French roast smell. It was him. But if it was him, who the hell was boarding flight 447 with my best friend?
Cut to.
I pressed the speaker button. Julian didn't flinch. Didn't seem to hear. Could it be a doppelganger? I whispered. Seraphine hissed. He turned and looked at me, Fry. He winked. A sound escaped me. Sharp, involuntary. Julian looked over. Everything okay? He asked, reaching for the coffee tin. Just Seraphine, I said. My voice too smooth. Too professional. His phone lit up on the counter. A text. I leaned subtly. One word. Landed. I smiled thinly. She says hi. Julian nodded. She's still flying United? I nodded. My heartbeat was in my ears. Maybe we'll finally take her up on those flight benefits, he joked, sipping. The irony made my stomach turn. I watched him. Don't look at the man, look at the margins. That's what we were taught in fraud detection. His shirt was buttoned wrong. Third button slightly off-center. He never misaligned buttons. Not Julian. Not even drunk. His watch was tight. Red mark on the wrist. Wrong setting, 24-hour military time. He hated that format. The devil is always in the details. I moved to the living room window. Buses rolled down the hill toward downtown. A plane cut across the gray sky, blinking silver in the clouds. Julian sat back down with his paper. My phone buzzed again. Seraphine, check this. A photo came through. Taken from the cockpit window. Row 4. Side profile. Navy jacket. Black hair combed right. Same gold cufflinks. Same small scar near the jawline.
Julian.
Next to him, my best friend Mars leaning in, smiling. His lips parted, mid-laugh. And Julian, or whoever that was, looking at him like he wanted to say forever. My mouth went dry. I turned slowly toward my husband. He was flipping through the Atlantic, mumbling about housing markets and property collapse. He's sitting right in front of me, but I just watched him board the plane. I waited for Julian to step into the shower. 37 seconds. Just enough time. He always took his phone into the bathroom, except today. Today, it sat on the marble kitchen counter, screen down like a guilty conscience. I picked it up. No passcode.
He trusted me.
Or forgot I stopped trusting him 3 hours ago. Messages deleted. I scrolled fast. One stood out, a voice note, labeled M.
Dated last night.
10 seconds. I pressed play. Julian's voice filled the kitchen.
Warm.
Playful. Too soft. Got your cologne on my pillow. Can't decide if I should burn the sheets or sleep in them. I miss you already, my love.
Cut.
I stood frozen. The overhead light flickered. Then came the sound. The shift. Water stopped running. I placed the phone back, like a landmine. Moved to the fridge. Opened it. Pretended to stare at yogurt. Julian walked out moments later, towel draped low, steam trailing him like a ghost. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. Just tired. Tired doesn't suit you. You always look alert. A smile, without kindness. I stepped out onto the balcony and called Seraphine. Did he say anything to her? To the woman in 4A, she asked.
No.
Did he say anything weird?
Pause. Yeah.
Right before they boarded. He leaned in and whispered something. She laughed. He kissed her hand. My throat tightened. Did you get audio? It's not that kind of cockpit, Freya. Back inside. I pull my laptop, set up a dummy session through my forensic case files. I opened Julian's calendar from his synced account. There it was. 7:30 a.m. Lounge 3B SEA M. Justin M. No surname. No company. No meeting description. You don't block off pre-boarding meetings with a single letter unless that letter burns your mouth.
Mars.
It had to be. I opened my phone, hands shaking.
Scroll.
Search. Mars. Last text. Yesterday, 9:13 p.m. Mars. Passing through Seattle.
Couldn't sleep.
The city makes me think of you. At the time, I thought it was nostalgia. Now it was a blade. Cinematic flash. Mars and I, at 21. Rain-soaked rooftop in Capitol Hill. Both drunk on cheap wine and better dreams. He whispered, if I ever lie to you, make it count. Make it worth burning down everything. I laughed. He didn't. Distraction. Buzzer rang. Door delivery. Julian didn't move. I'll get it. Wait, too late. He opened the door. No package. Just a manila envelope left on the mat. He picked it up slowly. Eyes scanned the hallway. Nothing but wind. He shut the door. Flipped the envelope in his hands. No label. No address. He didn't notice me watching him from the hallway mirror's reflection. He took it into the study.
Closed the door.
Locked it.
Cut scene.
I grabbed my keys.
Purse.
Walked out.
Drove.
Capitol Hill. 15 minutes. I parked in front of a coffee shop. Mars was already there. Sitting by the window. Holding a book but not reading it. I walked in. He smiled.
Wow.
Didn't think you'd actually come. You didn't think I'd find the voice note either. His face twitched. What are you talking about? I slid into the seat. Leaned in. Voice low. The message. Last night. My love. You and Julian. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Then, it's not what you think. It never is. He laughed, but it cracked. It was a joke, he said. An old inside thing. From years ago. That's just how he talks sometimes. To you. To anyone. We've always, look, you don't understand him. No, I said. I don't. I stood. His voice dropped. Freya, you need to stop this before it swallows you. He looked scared. Like someone who knew more than he should. As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed again. Notification. Back door sensor triggered. 8:39 a.m. Julian had left the house. Camera stills loaded. Julian, in a dark jacket.
Carry on.
Sunglasses. Walking fast. Timestamp. 8:41 a.m. Then my heart stopped. New footage. Live feed. Julian, or someone wearing his face, just entered gate C21. Boarding for Paris. I stared. One hand on my phone. The other clenched so tight, I didn't feel the blood until it hit my wrist. Why is my best friend's name the last thing your phone said before the signal vanished? Rain hit the windshield like it had a grudge. Seattle wept, and I didn't blame it. I turned off the ignition outside the parking deck near SEA South Terminal, heart banging like it wanted out. My phone buzzed again, an email from Seraphine. Subject: for a manifest. I opened it. The seat was booked under Julian M. Albright.
Julian. With an E.
Julian's legal name? Julian D. Albright. A letter. One vowel. One lie. I stared until the letters blurred. You can fake a name. You can steal a passport. But you can't replicate 20 years of muscle memory. And yet, whoever that was in seat 4A walked like Julian. Smiled like Julian. Had Julian's left-leaning posture, the slight limp from a hiking accident in 19. There are no perfect copies, I whispered. But I didn't believe myself.
Cut.
I slid the USB drive into my laptop inside the coffee shop across the street, masked behind a dummy VPN and two-factor jump server. Security footage. The gate. The moment of boarding. Frame by frame.
There.
Him. Julian. Not Julian. But the hand gesture. The lift of his coffee cup.
Exact.
Only one thing was off. The way he tapped the paper ticket against his palm, right hand. Julian's always been left dominant. Details. Always watch the hands. Mar sat across from me now. His eyes were bloodshot. Hoodie soaked. He hadn't shaved. I'm sorry, he said. That's free. Tell me something that costs you.
He didn't flinch.
Okay. I knew. I've known for months. He told me he had a brother, lost twin, adoption mess, something about sealed records, and a private investigator. He didn't want you involved. I leaned in. Why? Because you don't forgive. You calculate. Like a judge with no bench. You think that's unfair? I think it's what makes you dangerous. His voice cracked. I turned the laptop so he could see the freeze frame. Julian boarding the plane. That's not your friend, is it? He stared too long. Then no. That's not Julian. Scene shift. I walked out into the alley behind the cafe. Needed air. The wall opposite was tagged with a smeared black eye and the word liar in red block letters. Appropriate. The smell of wet concrete and burnt espresso followed me. Above, the clouds peeled open like stitches breaking. I lit a cigarette I didn't want. The voicemail played again in my head. I miss you already, my love. A man doesn't say that to another man unless secrets are older than the marriage that buried them. Back home, I moved like a ghost. The house was too quiet. That kind of silence that hums at the wrong frequency.
His phone was gone.
But the study door was cracked. Inside, a laptop still glowing. Password prompt up. I sat down. Tried the obvious. Mar's birthday. Access denied. Then mine. Denied. Then his mother's maiden name. Access granted. One folder. Labeled. Albright/redacted. Inside. Travel itineraries, banking screenshots, wire transfer logs. And a PDF. Request for name change. Julian Maxwell Albright, Julian Dean Albright. Timestamp. 5 years ago. I reached for the printed copy of our marriage license from the cabinet. Julian Dean Albright. Born in 1985. But in the folder, Julian Maxwell Albright was also born in 1985. Same month. Same city. Different day. They weren't twins. They were duplicates. The printer word. I didn't press anything. It spit out the last document I'd seen. Then a message. Stop looking. The cursor blinked. Another message typed itself. I'm coming home. I jumped. Slammed the lid shut. Breath caught like a wire in my chest. Whoever was on the other end had remote access. He was watching the file activity. Watching me. I stood slowly. Window open. Curtains moving. Not from wind. A shadow passed across the hall behind me.
Silent. Smooth.
I grabbed the fireplace poker. Footsteps creaked above. He was in the house. I whispered to myself, don't scream. Make it count. The hallway stretched longer than I remembered. Each step a drumbeat in my skull. At the top of the stairs, nothing. Then a creak behind me. I spun. Nothing. But my office door was shut now. I hadn't shut it. I moved fast. Kicked it open. Empty. Just the whir of the ceiling fan. Except one thing. A manila folder sitting dead center on my desk. Written on the front. For F. I opened it. 2 passports. 2 names. 2 faces. Julian.
Julian.
Same eyes. Same blood type. One man born to disappear. I still see him sometimes. Not Julian. Not Julian. Just the shadow of who I used to be before all this. I left the passports on the desk. Didn't take pictures. Didn't scan them. Just looked. Because if I touched them again, I wouldn't stop shaking. The room felt smaller. Walls breathing. Light blinking slower. Like someone was rewinding time one glitch at a time. I walked out. Locked the study behind me.
Cut scene. Kitchen.
Quiet. Too quiet. His coffee cup still sat on the counter, half full. Lip print on the rim. Left side. Julian always drank from the right. Even habits have fingerprints, I muttered. I grabbed my keys.
Drove.
Parking deck at the private side of SEA. The kind no one advertises. No overhead signs. Seraphine met me outside. Still in uniform. Cap low. Eyes sharp. You look like you haven't slept, she said. I haven't. He left me a present. I showed her the photo on my phone. She stared. Blinked once.
Twice.
Jesus. So it's real. Real enough. We crossed security like ghosts. Her badge opened every door. The hallway to gate C21 buzzed with motion. But my pulse buzzed louder. We stepped into the observation room.
Dark.
Cold. Monitors stacked like eyes. I pulled the footage, she said. But we can't download anything without a formal subpoena. Just let me see. She tapped in the timestamp. Julian boarding.
There.
I leaned forward.
Zoomed in.
Frame by frame. He turned slightly. Just enough. That scar. Same placement. Above the right eyebrow. Hiking accident. I was there. Is that?
No. Y whispered. Yes.
I don't know. Sometimes the truth isn't what we find. It's what we fear to confirm. Seraphine stepped back. Let me breathe. One last frame. Julian looks to the side. Smiles. Not at the woman. At the camera.
Cut.
I was back in the car. Still parked. Still shaking. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. Blocked caller ID. I answered. Static. Then a voice. Filtered. Digitally scrambled. You've seen too much.
Click.
I dropped the phone. Every instinct screamed. Run. But I drove home instead. Fight or flight. I chose fury.
Stormed in.
Unlocked the study. Tore through drawers. The manila envelope was gone. Everything, passports, folder, flash drive, vanished. Except for one thing. A single Polaroid. It sat where the folder had been.
Photo me. Sleeping.
Timestamped. 2 nights ago. Angle. Inside my bedroom. From the hallway. I dropped it. Stumbled back. Every room in the house went dark. The power was cut. Footsteps. Basement. Then silence. I grabbed the knife from the kitchen block. Hand trembling. Moved toward the basement door.
Breathe.
Count.
Go.
I flung it open. Nothing but stairs. And black. I took 2 steps down. Another.
Click.
Basement lights snapped on. Empty. But then behind me, upstairs. A door closed. I ran up. Bedroom. Untouched. Living room. Still. Front door. Unlocked. And inside the mail slot, folded note. Handwritten. Stop following him. He doesn't belong to you. I called Troy Keene.
He owed me.
I kept his name out of a wire fraud report 2 years ago. He picked up on the 3rd ring. You look like shit, he said. Thanks. I need access to Interpol databases. Alias cross-referencing.
I've got a name.
Julian M. Albright. He was quiet. Then, That name flagged an alert this morning. Tied to a Paris transfer hub. Crypto laundering. Level 3 watch list. I swallowed. He's not a ghost. He's an identity thief. No, Troy said. He's something worse. He creates identities. Builds them from the bones up. Cinematic flash. Julian once said, some people build homes. Others build exits. I used to think he meant it poetically. Now I know, he was planning an escape long before I knew there was something to run from. Back at the terminal. I watched the final few seconds of the gate footage. Julian reaches into his coat. Pulls out a passport. 2 agents check it. Then nod. He steps through. Behind him, someone else.
Mars.
In sunglasses. Head down. Carry-on in hand. He touches Julian's shoulder. Smiles. Julian says something. Mars laughs.
He leans in.
And kisses Julian on the cheek. The screen froze. My breath vanished. Julian didn't want to steal Julian's life. He wanted mine. The next morning, I stood at gate A9 with Seraphine's old badge clipped to my coat and a boarding pass under the name Lena Vaughn. The ticket was for a one-way flight to Paris. Seraphine didn't ask questions. She just flew the damn plane. In the sky, 30,000 feet above everyone who thought I was safe at home, I stared out the oval window and whispered to no one, if I die doing this, at least I'll die knowing. She leaned into the cockpit doorway at one point. You still sure? There's no safety in almost knowing.
Cut.
Customs. Charles de Gaulle. Fog pressed against the windows like breath on glass. Troy's contact met me outside baggage claim. A wiry man in a brown coat. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a burner phone, a list of names tied to Julian M. Albright, and a location scribbled in French handwriting.
Galerie du Vide. Underground.
Private. Known front. I took a cab. Told the driver nothing. The gallery's entrance was hidden behind a locked wine cellar door beneath a flower shop in Montmartre. I knocked 3 times, paused. Once more. A slit opened. A hand took my ID. Silence. Then the door creaked. Inside. Dim lights. Music like broken lullabies. Art that looked like it bled. Mars stood near the back, in front of a sculpture shaped like a fractured crown. He didn't look surprised to see me. Freya. I walked slowly. Is that your real name, too? Or just another borrowed thing?
He sighed.
You don't get it. You're still looking at this like it's about you.
No.
I'm looking at it like it's about the truth. He glanced to the side. Julian wanted you here. He said you'd come. And you're okay with that? He saved me. No, I said, voice sharp. He used you. Like he used Julian's face. Mars hesitated. Then, he said if you knew everything, maybe you'd choose him. Choose. I laughed dry. He ruined my life. No, Mars whispered. He made you see it. Gunfire split the silence. Screams erupted. Red lights flared.
Cut scene.
I ducked behind a marble column. Mars grabbed my arm, yanked me down. Stay here, he growled. No. What the hell is happening? Someone followed you. Me? He didn't answer. Just shoved something into my hand. A flash drive. I'm not the one who betrayed you, he said. But I helped cover it. Cinematic pause. Then he ran. Across the gallery. Toward the exit. More gunfire. Mars collapsed halfway there. Blood spilled across white floor. I screamed. A hand grabbed my jacket. Seraphine. She pulled me into a hidden corridor behind a velvet curtain. We have to move.
Now.
What the hell are you doing here? Back up, she said, voice cold. You thought I'd let you face him alone?
Cut.
Hotel room.
Curtains drawn.
Lights off. The flash drive blinked in my hand. We watched the footage together. It was surveillance. Audio logs. Voice messages. Julian's communications with financial entities across Zurich, Prague, Jakarta. All linked to crypto laundering, identity transfers, layered accounts. And then, a folder labeled Albright/motive. I opened it. Inside, Documents showing Julian had tracked Julian since 2012. Found him. Followed him. Learned him. Memorized every tick, every tone, every goddamn scar. He said you weren't just someone's wife, Mars had whispered before he bled out. You were his mirror. He wanted me because I knew how to see through people. He thought that meant I'd see him.
Troy called.
His voice was tight. Interpol has confirmed. Julian's been building a life in parallel to Julian for years. Synthetic identities. Financial ghosting. He's built at least 4 versions of himself. And me? I asked. He marked you as a possible asset. Target. Or something else.
What?
Companion. I leaned into the mirror above the sink. My reflection didn't flinch. Maybe the most dangerous men aren't the ones who lie, I said aloud. Maybe they're the ones who build the truth so well. You live in it. Seraphine loaded her weapon behind me.
Suit up, she said.
Because tomorrow, he's expecting you. Julian didn't want to steal Julian's life. He wanted mine. The warehouse sat at the edge of the river like a forgotten thought. Concrete.
Rischt.
One light flickering over a loading bay. Midnight pressed down hard, the kind that makes every sound feel intentional. I walked in alone. That was the deal. The burner phone vibrated once in my coat pocket. A single message.
Now. Cut.
Inside, the air smelled like oil and cold metal. My footsteps echoed too loudly. I hated that. Sound gives you away. Julian stood near the center of the space, hands raised, jacket open. No weapon. Blood on his sleeve, fresh. He looked smaller than I remembered. Older. Like the truth had finally taken something back. You shouldn't be here, he said. I stopped listening to what I shouldn't do a long time ago. He swallowed. He's coming. I know. A shadow moved along the far wall.
Slow.
Confident. Julian stepped into the light. Same face. Different gravity. Freya, he said gently, like we were meeting for coffee. You came. You expected me to. I hoped. He smiled. Hope is a dangerous thing, but it's also honest. I felt the wire under my collar hum faintly.
Live.
Open. Troy listening. Interpol listening. Half a dozen people ready to move when I said the word. Julian's eyes flicked to my collar. Just for a second. He knew. Relax, he said. I didn't bring anyone. I wanted this clean. Julian laughed, sharp and bitter. You never wanted anything clean. Julian shrugged. I wanted it true. He turned to me. You're wondering why I did it. Why him? Why you? I already know, I said. My voice didn't shake. You wanted a life that couldn't see you coming. And you wanted someone who could. He tilted his head. You always were perceptive. That's why I knew you'd understand. Understanding isn't forgiveness. Sometimes it's better, he said. Forgiveness is passive. Understanding is power. Julian stepped forward. Leave her out of this. Julian laughed softly. You brought her into it the moment you lied. Silence fell.
Thick.
Heavy. I spoke into it. You didn't want to steal his life. Julian's smile faded. You wanted mine. There it was. The crack. He exhaled. I watched you for years. How you saw patterns others missed. How you didn't flinch at ugly truths. I thought, if anyone could choose me without illusions, it would be you. You don't get to test people like that, I said. You don't get to decide who survives your truth. He reached into his coat. Julian moved fast. Stepped in front of me. Gunshot. Sound tore through the warehouse. My ears rang. Julian went down, clutching his shoulder, blood blooming dark. Everything slowed, like the world was deciding what to do next. Julian raised the gun again. Then, another shot. Glass shattered above us. A spotlight exploded. Sirens bled into the night. Julian dropped. He didn't scream, just looked at me, surprised, like he hadn't planned for the ending to choose itself. Seraphine emerged from the shadows, weapon steady, jaw set. She didn't look at him. She looked at me. You okay? She asked. I nodded, then shook my head. then nodded again. Authorities flooded in. Hands on my shoulders. Voices overlapping. The wire tugged free. Julian was lifted onto a stretcher.
Alive.
Barely.
He met my eyes.
I'm sorry, he said. Finally. Honestly. I believed him. And I still let go. Weeks later, the river looked calmer. Sunlight stitched gold across the surface. I stood alone on the bridge, coat wrapped tight, the city breathing behind me. Julian was gone.
Dead before trial.
His network exposed. Names unspooled. Accounts frozen. Identities returned to the dead or erased for good. Julian faced consequences. Not prison. But truth has its own sentence. We signed papers. Divided a life that had already split itself in two. Seraphine called every day at first. Then less. That was okay. Love doesn't always hover. Sometimes it stands back and trusts you to walk. I went back to work.
Different cases now.
Different lens. Someone once said that the most dangerous lies are the ones that feel like shelter. I know that now. Another truth I learned the hard way. You can love someone and still refuse the version of reality they offer you. At night, I still check the locks. Still glance at reflections. Still feel the echo of being watched. But it doesn't own me anymore. I own the silence now. And if there's one thing this taught me, one thing worth carrying forward, it's this. You don't lose yourself when someone tries to replace you. You find yourself when you refuse to disappear. I turned away from the river and walked back into the city.